The Rise of the Separatists source book took us to the beginning of the Clone Wars. The collapse of the Republic takes us to the good parts. And the end. How does this book about the Clone Wars compare to the other? Do you even need it at all? This is a review of Star Wars, Collapse of the Republic. Let's dive in. Here we have Collapse of the Republic. Let's turn this bad boy over and see what's on the back. Fight for the fate of galactic civilization with Collapse of the Republic. This source book explores the latter days of the Clone Wars and is fully compatible with the complete Star Wars role-playing game lines of Edge of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, and Force and Destiny. This was published back in 2019 by Fantasy Flight, now Edge Studios. And this is one of 3 official era sourcebooks for the Star Wars role-playing game lines. What makes an era sourcebook unique is that you get new species, careers, vehicles, and adversaries to play around with, all from a specific time period in the Star Wars canon. And like with all sourcebooks, Collapse of the Republic is compatible with all 3 mainline role-playing games for Star Wars, and this book is going to be separated into 4 chapters. Soldiers and Politicians has new options for players. That'll be your species and careers. Tools of Destruction has new weapons, armor, attachments, and vehicles. The Galaxy at War is the exposition chapter with details on planets that were prominent towards the end of the Clone Wars. And then Battle Across the Stars has ideas for adventures, as well as rules for mass combat. You also get a list of new adversaries to use. We have 4 species to play around with in Collapse of the Republic, although we've already had clones in Rise of the Separatists. But in addition to that, we've got the Dathomirians, the Carcharodons, and the Harks. Clones have a 2 across the board when it comes to characteristics, allowing you to really specialize your clone skills and talents. They start with a rank in Knowledge Warfare and Resilience, and they start with 1 rank in the Physical Training Talent, which allows them to add a boost die to Athletics and Resilience checks. Dathomirians also have a 2 across all characteristics, and they begin with 1 rank in Coercion and Survival. They also begin with 1 rank of the Outdoorsman talent, which removes a setback die per rank of Outdoorsman from checks to move through terrain or to manage terrain or environmental effects. It also decreases overland travel times by 50%. Harks have a 3 in Cunning and only 75 starting XP. They do have additional limbs which grant them an additional maneuver per turn, but remember, you can't perform more than 2 maneuvers in a turn. You simply don't take the 2 strain to perform the extra maneuver here. They also have Venomous Fangs, which is a brawl attack that has the Stun 3 quality. Carcharodons have a Brawn of 3 and 90 starting XP. They begin the game with 1 rank in Athletics, and they are amphibious. They have a Jaw attack that deals +1 damage and has a critical range of 3. Just like with Rise of the Separatists, Collapse of the Republic has 2 careers. We have the Clone Soldier, which is going to add an additional 3 specializations, and then we have the Jedi, which will add 2 specializations. The Clone Soldier has access to Arc Trooper, which functions very similarly to the Clone Trooper in Rise of the Separatists. We have the Clone Commander, which makes use of their leadership skill just like the Clone Officer in Rise of the Separatists, and then the Clone Veteran, who is more of a survivor and adds bonuses when they attack, even more so towards droids. The Jedi has access to the General talent tree, which requires a force rating of 2 and acts as a leader who can inspire allies, and the Master talent tree, which requires a force rating of 3, and their whole thing is that they do things the Jedi should be able to do, only better and faster. We also have the Death Watch Warrior talent tree, which is a Mandalorian universal tree that makes use of the jetpack and being very tanky. The Night Sister talent tree makes use of weird magic that allows you to summon a weapon. The Senator talent tree makes being the party face easier with talents such as Nobody's Fool and Plausible Deniability, while also giving them a chance in combat with diplomatic immunity. The Separatist Commander is an interesting option considering that this is the only career, albeit universal, that is very specific to the Separatists. They are good at leadership, much like the Jedi General, and can inspire their allies. Once again, if you're missing a core rulebook or 2, there are reminders for the Knowledge Warfare and Lightsaber Bronze skills. Something that is different from the Rise of the Separatist sourcebook is the addition of signature abilities. These are added to the bottom of current career talent trees. Only 1 can be attached per talent tree. In a way, these function very similarly to force powers. in that they grant a powerful ability that can be used, usually once per session though. So we have the unmatched teamwork. Once per session, as an incidental, the character may spend 2 destiny points to activate unmatched teamwork. Until the end of the encounter, the character may assist another character as an incidental instead of a maneuver once per round. Then we have the Jedi signature ability, Peerless Interception. Once per session, as an out-of-turn incidental, the character may spend 2 destiny points to activate Peerless Interception. For the next 2 rounds, when the character uses parry or reflect to reduce the damage of a hit, they reduce the damage by an additional amount equal to their force rating. The Tools of Destruction chapter details all the gear and vehicles that were prominent towards the conclusion of the Clone Wars. For ranged weapons, we have things like the DC-12U, DC-15A, DC-17 Hand Blaster, DE-10, E5, EE3, the Galar-15, Night Sister Energy Bow, and the Westar-35. For melee and brawl weapons, we have the Biscad, Crush Gaunts, Duskblade, and Cal Daggers. Most of the lightsabers are the same as in the previous entries, although this time around we actually get the Saber Cane and the Saber Cane Hilt. For armor, we have things like the Clone Dive Armor, Clone Reconnaissance Armor, Jedi Reconnaissance Armor, the Katarn Class Commando Armor, Mandalorian Armor, Phase 2 ARC Trooper Armor, and the Phase 2 Clone Trooper Armor. We do get some new gear and equipment like the Aqua Suit, Concealed Recorder, Diplomatic Authorization, JT-12C Jetpack, Nano Droids, Rocket Boots, Stun Cuffs, and the Z6 Jetpack. We also do get some new vehicles. For air speeders, we have the HMP Droid Gunship and the LAATC Assault Carrier. For land speeders, we have the Bark Speeder, the Stap Assault Platform, and the WLO-5 Light Speeder Tank. For tracked and wheeled vehicles, we have the Juggernaut Heavy Armored Fighting Vehicle and the NR-N99 Persuader Heavy Droid Tank. For walkers, we have the All-Terrain Attack Pod and the All-Terrain Reconnaissance Transport. For starfighters and gunboats, we have the Alpha 3 Nimbus Class V-Wing Starfighter, the ARC 170 Heavy Starfighter, the Belbelab 22 Heavy Starfighter, the Droid Tri-Fighter, the Eta 2 Actis Class Light Interceptor, the Hyena Class Droid Bomber, Trident Class Assault Ship, and the V-19 Torrent. For cruisers, we have the Acclamator Class Planetary Assault Ship and the Pelta Class Frigate. And for capital ships, we have the Providence Class Dreadnought and the Subjugator Class Heavy Cruiser. The Galaxy at War chapter goes into great detail on what happened towards the end of the Clone Wars. It's a great read if you haven't seen the Clone Wars animated series, particularly the last season, or are just rusty on your Episode 3 lore. We do have stats for Ahsoka Tano, Anakin Skywalker, Admiral Trench, Aurra Sing, Cad Bane, Maul, and Savage Opress, along with Mother Talzin. For planets, we have detail on Coruscant, Dathomir, Felucia, Kashyyyk, Mandalore, and Utapau. And once again, stats for adversaries are kind of mixed in with these expositional pages, which I really don't care for. I'd rather they be at the end of the book with the rest of the adversaries. For battles across the stars, we do have some new ideas for adventures, but the main takeaway here is going to be the new optional rule for mass combat. First, we need to determine the size of the force and where the battle is taking place, either on ground or by starship. The strength of the force can either be trivial, significant, imposing, staggering, vast, or overwhelming. Next, we determine the size of the opposing forces and add difficulty die to the pool. The main commander can upgrade dice on both sides depending on their leadership skill. Roll the dice to see how that particular phase of the battle goes. The players do not really have any influence over the battle's outcome, but it can add complications for the PCs to overcome, or it could make things easy. Last but not least are the adversaries, which have been separated into 3 groups this time around. We have the Republic forces, Outsiders and Criminals, and Separatist droids. For the Republic forces, we have the Clone Trooper and Clone Sergeant, just like we did in Rise of the Separatists, but we also have Senate Guard, Jedi Temple Guard, and the Jedi Padawan. For Outsiders and Criminals, we have the Night Sister, Night Brother Warrior, Death Watch Commando, Pike Syndicate Interrogator, and the Trandoshan Hunter. For the Separatist droids, we have the Aqua Droid, the Arakid Ringneck Recon Droid, the Assassin Probe Droid, the B-1 Rocket Battle Droid, the B-1 Supervisor Droid, the B-1 Supervisor Droid, Buzz Droid, BX Series Droid Commando, Droideka Sharpshooter, FA-4 Pilot Droid, Octuptara Combat Tri-Droid, Super Battle Droid Rocket Trooper, and the Super Tactical Droid. A lot of my points among these source books are going to be pretty much the same. Do you need this book? Well, that depends on if you're running a Clone Wars campaign. Compared to Rise of the Separatists, I actually enjoyed this book a little bit more because it offers more of the things that I want in a Star Wars game. Although, I will admit it does lack the basic adversaries that you're going to need if you're running a Clone Wars game. In my opinion, if you're going to run a Clone Wars campaign, you're going to need both Rise of the Separatists and the Collapse of the Republic. If you're looking for something a little bit more nuanced that really dives into the validity of the Clone Wars, or if you're just looking for new stuff for your Clone Wars campaign, then I would suggest the fan-made source book, Heroes on Both Sides. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Give this review a huge thumbs up to support the series, and I will see you guys in the next video.